Good afternoon, manufacturing pros, and welcome to this week's episode of Manufacturing Happy Hour, where we talk about the latest in automation industry trends and technology over a cold one. I'm Chris Luecke, OEM account manager here in the Greater Bay Area. This week we're going to be talking about the benefits of OEM and end-user collaboration, and I'm very excited to be joined by one of my counterparts in the Bay Area, John Miles. Cheers, John. Welcome to the show.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
No problem. John, before we get into our topic, can you give our viewers a quick description of your role, just so they know who you are and who you serve?
Sure thing. So my name is John Miles, sales account manager for Rockwell. I call on end users and brand owners in the Bay Area.
So when John and I were planning this episode, based on the fact that we're both calling on myself, equipment manufacturers, and John primarily focused on end users, we thought it would be good to address a topic that brought the two together. And funny enough, as we were planning for this episode, we came across an article in Automation World titled Preparing for Growth in U.S. Manufacturing. One of the big things the article highlighted was that one of the areas that's going to help growth in the U.S. is collaboration between equipment manufacturers and machine builders and end users. So today we're going to go over basically three benefits that we've seen when OEMs and end users collaborate early in the design process. The first of those being a shift from providing specific services and machines to being more of a business relationship between the two groups, which, John, I'm going to let you kick off with your part of the discussion there.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Chris. So what I'm going to touch on really quick is when two companies are planning to do business, in this case, equipment manufacturers and end users, what they're doing is they're actually collaborating much earlier than before, right? So that means that they're designing a specification either for controls, process, or mechanical design early, and they're doing that together as opposed to the end user doing it all themselves and then feeding it out to the equipment builders.
And from an equipment manufacturer standpoint, one thing that we've seen as a benefit to the machine builders is that this allows them to plan out your resources earlier in the design process and allow for a more efficient delivery throughout the project. Moving into the project itself, another benefit we've seen is that there's an efficiency in the bidding and design project, another area which I'm going to let John lead off our discussion.
Yeah, definitely. So once you start the project, you're going to have to evaluate bidders, and then you're going to actually have to get going and do the actual design, either of the process, the project, or whatever you're doing right with the project. So what they like to do is they like to actually augment. The end user likes to augment the staff with someone from the equipment builder much earlier in the process, 12 to 18 months prior. They may bring them in as another engineer on their staff. They'll just put a badge or stamp on them and say you're part of the team now. And then that gives the equipment builder a much better chance of winning the bid once it actually comes out when the project starts.
Absolutely, and you definitely highlighted it. From an equipment manufacturer standpoint, you are literally in the account 12 to 18 months before the project with this new trend in augmentation of the staff. But from an end user standpoint also, the end user gets the benefit of having an equipment manufacturer that's more familiar with the process, and as a result, the bids are probably going to come back with lower contingency, be lower cost, and a more effective addressing of the overall project.
Correct.
So really what we've talked about today so far, we've covered what this relationship looks like before the project, what it looks like during the project, but to tie that all together under a bit more of an umbrella, another big benefit is project lifecycle optimization. And John, I'm going to hand it off to you one more time to give a quick overview, and then we'll highlight some of the benefits to wrap it up.
Yeah, sure. So we all know that time is money, so that when an end user and an equipment builder work together on a project, they want to reduce the overall project lifecycle time. And when they do that, they allow for that extra time to be used for other things. And other things could be collaboration between the two organizations to focus more on their future business or enhancements to the actual project itself, where they can get more of a better result at the end.
Absolutely, and another thing the article that we were looking at highlighted was that another trend is obviously areas like increased analytics, having equipment that's Internet of Things enabled and plug and play at the equipment manufacturer level, bring that into the end user standpoint. So this isn't necessarily an example of scope creep where all of a sudden you have a little more time, so you're deciding at the end of the project what you're going to do with it. Really what it is realizing that you've reduced the time for the project on the front end, and then being able to incorporate some of these newer technologies that are ultimately helping U.S. manufacturers and manufacturers in general be more competitive. So with that, we thank you for joining us for another episode of Manufacturing Happy Hour. We look forward to being back here in a couple weeks. In the meantime, stay innovative, stay thirsty. Cheers.
Cheers.
And we'll see you again soon. Have a good one.